Gentlelady is recognized for 2 minutes.
I thank the gentleman. Mr. Speaker, a recent headline read, AIG is a PIG. And that's exactly the way that most Americans feel. The TARP bill, however ill thought out, was intended to slow the bleeding of our economy. Instead, that money is being used to line the pockets of the very crooks that drew the first blood. You know it, and I know it, and the American people know it. However, what the American people do not know is who put that provision in the economic stimulus bill to ensure AIG's ability to pay out these outrageous bonuses. I don't know the answer to that. Was it Senator Dodd? Well, just yesterday he said no, he did it at the behest of the Obama White House. We need to remember this. The American people deserve to know who knew what when they knew it. We all agree that the fat cats at AIG shouldn't be rewarded for their irresponsible actions, and we'll take care of that today. But there are bigger questions. This member from Florida voted against the stimulus bill. However, most Democrats on the other side voted for the stimulus bill, and it's amazing that now they are so concerned and so shocked about a provision that was put in the bill that they fostered that never went through the Ways and Means Committee, which I serve. We held a very brief briefing on it, but we did not get to vote on it. We did not get to put any amendments onto it. And I would, at this point, yield to the gentlelady handling the bill on the other side, Ms. Pingree, to ask her, she had the opportunity to vote against it, why she didn't.
Thank you very much. I want to remind my colleagues on the other side of the aisle that we are here at this moment to pass the rule to allow us to fix this situation. And
reclaiming my time, I don't believe that the gentlelady responded to the question. We're here today to remedy something that you had the opportunity to vote against. You and your colleagues had the opportunity to vote against. That language was in there. Also, yesterday...
Gentlelady's time's expired. Gentlelady from Maine.
Thank you. I will take back my time. I wasn't here, just to remind you that I personally, although I'm happy to be here to manage this bill today, I was not here when many members of the House voted on that particular bill. But I do want to say all of us in this chamber had the opportunity to vote on the conditions on the TARP to make sure we dealt with things like executive compensation. And many of my colleagues on the other side of the aisle, in fact, most of them refused to vote in favor of those conditions. So we have had those opportunities to do that over time. I do agree it should be further investigated exactly how things happen here. We are in one of the most tumultuous times in our economy than any of us have ever faced or previous generations have faced. But I personally voted in favor of those conditions of the TARP, and I do find it a little disingenuous to find many of my new colleagues who I am just getting to know so anxious to talk about executive compensation, capping executive compensation, looking at this, when it was an issue that only probably weeks or months ago they wouldn't have gone near with a 10-foot pole. In fact, they wouldn't even have discussed this. They would have said, leave business to itself. We're not going to get involved in this particular issue. This is an issue that has concerned me and my constituents back in my home state for a long time. I was proud to vote in favor of the conditions of the TARP, and I want to remind my colleagues again, we are here today to allow this rule to come to the floor so that we can have full debate on all of the opportunities afforded to us in this bill, and this will be with us in only moments as soon as we vote in favor of this rule. I reserve the balance of my time.
Gentlelady reserves her time. Gentleman from Florida.
Well, Mr. Speaker, before I yield, let me say that we're talking about what Ms. Brown-Waite was talking about was the $800 billion so-called stimulus package. In that legislation was the authorization for these bonuses to AIG. And my understanding is that all of the colleagues on the other side of the aisle voted for that stimulus package. So that's for the record. And I would urge my colleagues on the other side of the aisle to urge their leadership to take processes seriously. I remember when this House unanimously, that week of the stimulus package, the so-called stimulus package with $800 billion, the House voted for a 48-hour period for everybody to be able to see what was in that package. And yet, the majority leadership ignored the unanimous view of the House. So I would urge my colleagues on the other side of the aisle to tell their leadership, please, pay attention to the will of the House, especially and including on process, because we now see that when process is abused, things make it into legislation that later embarrasses those who vote for it.